On February 19, 2025, officers responded to a bank after receiving a report of a woman attempting to cash a fraudulent $7,000 check using a fake identification.
Hey, ma'am. Ma'am. No. Hey, ma'am, with the blonde hair, if you don't stop, I'm going to tackle you in this bank, okay? So come back this way. All right.
Okay.
Thank you. You have your driver's license on you?
I gave it to the lady.
Okay. Go to the front door. I've got another person coming to talk with y'all. I'll be outside, okay?
Thank you.
I'm assuming you've got her ID and documents and all that? All right, thank you. All right, what's your name?
Sure.
What's that? All right, come here. Have a seat right here.
Okay. Was something wrong?
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so you're being detained. Okay. Have a seat for me.
Can I smoke a cigarette?
Yeah, sure. All right, what's your first name?
Lina.
Spell it.
Lina.
Lina?
Yes.
What's your middle initial?
M.
What's your last name?
Cabrera.
Cabra. Era. Pronounce that.
Cabrera.
Okay, why'd you try and walk out of the bank when I walked in?
I was just going to smoke a cigarette.
Okay. All right, what's your date of birth?
12/16/87.
What is it?
12/16/87.
87?
Yes.
Okay, do you have any weapons on you?
No,
No. Okay. Do you know why you're being detained right now?
I have no idea.
No. Okay.
Right here, things get interesting and legally significant. The officer has already told her she's being detained for suspected fraud, but notice her response, "I have no idea." That's a common reaction, but it doesn't necessarily help her case. At this stage, officers only need reasonable suspicion to detain someone, not foolproof. And here's the kicker: the bank has already flagged her for attempting this at another location. That turns this from a one-off suspicion into a potential pattern of criminal behavior. So ask yourself, if you were in her position, would you keep denying everything, or start explaining before things escalate?
I'm going to go ahead and tell you that it's something to do with fraud.
Okay.
Trying to cash a check that's no good.
I didn't know catching a check was withdrawn from my account.
Okay, well, I'm just telling you what I've been told by the bank.
Okay.
And this is the second bank you've tried to do it at, right? Today?
No.
Okay. All right. All right. Come on. Stand up. Let's go to my car, please.
Okay.
Are you on probation?
No.
Ever been arrested in Panama City?
No.
Okay. All right. You just follow the sidewalk.
I don't know what I did wrong. I was trying to withdraw.
Well, like I said, you're being detained. All right. You're not free to leave. Well, I'm conducting an investigation. My partner's on the way over here to help me. But the bank called on you, so... And they said that you're possibly committing a crime. Go ahead and set your purse right here for me. Do you have any weapons on you or anything like that?
No.
Anything illegal, narcotics?
Oh.
No? Okay. Go ahead and throw your cigarette out for me. Place your cell phone right here. And then have a seat for me. All right. Do you mind if she pats you down for weapons? No. Okay. Thank you. Do you mind if she searches your pockets?
Yeah, I don't have anything.
Okay. Do you mind?
There's no reason to, but go home.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Turn and face my car, please. All right, Miss Lena, come have a seat. All right. How are you doing, Miss Mandy?
Hi.
I apologize for causing that scene.
Oh, no, you're fine.
Okay. Well, tell me what the heck is going on today.
So she went to Lynn Haven first, and she pretended to be a whole nother person.
Okay.
She presented a Mississippi ID for Shannon Castle on another business.
Okay, stand by. So she went to the Lynn Haven Bank.
Mm-hmm. Because that's how we knew to look out for her, because they had already sent us an email.
Okay.
When she came here, she pretended to be Miss Lena, which we've already spoken to, who doesn't speak very good English, and said, "No, ma'am, I'm in Mississippi. This is not me."
Okay, so these are names of people. Okay, so she's still in identities?
Yes.
Okay.
So she's targeting businesses somehow or another. So the ID she gave us is Lena, and look,
So the Shannon Cockrell was Lynn Haven?
Yes.
Lena Cabrera?
Was here.
Okay, that's the name that
that's the name she just gave me.
Shannon?
And she forgot the R there. That's how we knew it wasn't her, because she had spelled either one of these two right.
This is the turning point, and honestly, it's where the case starts to fall apart for her. The bank employees are laying out a clear pattern: multiple identities, different banks, inconsistent spelling, and mismatched accounts. That's not just suspicious, that's textbook identity fraud behavior. And here's what makes it worse. The real account holders have already confirmed it's not them. At that point, the defense options shrink dramatically. So let me ask you, do you think this was a carefully planned scheme that just got sloppy? Or someone improvising under pressure and making critical mistakes?
So when Cindy asked her to redo it, then she looked at it and tried to fix it.
Okay. So Miss Lena is an actual
Yes.
account name
Yes.
here. So this is a fake driver's license, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Is this hers?
Yeah, that's what she presented. This is her second form of ID.
Has this been reported stolen?
Lena didn't know.
Does this look
anything about
authentic
it.
to you?
For Wells Fargo, I don't know what theirs look like, but I'd say yes.
Okay.
It's got the chip in it.
All right. Okay. And then these are the two checks?
Mm-hmm.
And these were both from the Panama City?
These
were the ones that she just filled out here?
Yes.
Okay.
So she should have a passport and another driver's license, Mississippi driver's license on her that belongs to different names.
Right. Which she used in Lynn Haven?
Yes.
Okay. And that was the Shannon name,
Mm-hmm.
correct? All right. Do you mind if I hold on to these?
Okay.
Thank you. I'll come back in here in just a little bit and get some of your information, but I'm going to go interview her so I can put her in handcuffs. All right, step out of the car. Turn and face away from me. Place your hands behind your back. Okay. So right now, right off the bat, you're under arrest for providing a false name to a law enforcement officer. Okay. Right off the bat. So that was your first mistake.
Now this is a crucial legal moment, the arrest and the Miranda warning. Once she's read her rights, everything changes. From here on out, anything she says can and will be used against her in court. And notice what she does. She initially refuses to talk. That's actually one of the smartest legal decisions she makes in this entire interaction. Because once you start talking without a lawyer, especially in a fraud case with evidence stacking up, it's very easy to dig yourself deeper. The real tension here: the officer is trying to get cooperation, but she's starting to realize the seriousness of the situation.
So you are under arrest. It's a felony, and you're going to jail today. Secondly, I would like to Mirandize you and ask you some questions about the things you've been doing today. Okay? Have a seat. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to talk to a lawyer and have him or her present with you while you're being questioned. If you cannot afford to hire a lawyer, one will be appointed to represent you before any questioning if you wish. You can decide at any time to exercise these rights, not answer any questions or make any statements. Do you understand your rights as I've explained them to you? Having those rights in mind, are you willing to answer my questions now? No? Okay, so I'm going to explain something to you. I've been in contact with the banks. All right. I just talked to the branch manager down here. I know what you've done today. All right. At both bank locations. Okay. So we can either have a conversation about it and find out what really happened, or I'm just going to charge you with what I think happened and send you to prison. And it's totally up to you. Okay. I don't know where you're from. I don't know who you are, but the things that you're doing down here are not going to fly in Panama City, and I will send you to prison. Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you care to give me your real name? If you don't, that's fine. I'll take you to the jail and we'll fingerprint you, and I'll add another charge to it and find out anyways. So you can keep playing the stubborn I'm tough game. But, you know, cops have been around for hundreds and hundreds of years. There's ways to deal with this and get around it. Okay. So are you going to tell me your real name? Okay. Do you wish to talk to me at all about what's going on?
Here's where things get a bit complicated and honestly a little messy. She asks for a lawyer, which should immediately stop questioning under normal circumstances. But then, she keeps talking. This is something we see all the time. People invoke their rights, then accidentally waive them by continuing the conversation. And every new detail she gives, New York, Lyft rides, inconsistent names, it all becomes part of the evidence trail. So think about it. Is she trying to cooperate to lessen the consequences? Or just struggling to keep her story straight under pressure?
No. Is there a reason?
I want a lawyer.
You want a lawyer? You're more than welcome to have a lawyer.
Is she still out in Mississippi?
Where are you from? New York? That's where your driver's license is from? Where do you live? In New York. What are you doing in Panama City? Who are you staying with? Where's she stay at?
Down here.
Around here? Okay. Did you drive?
No.
You walked?
Yeah.
How'd you get from Lynn Haven to here?
I don't know.
Huh?
I don't know.
What was that?
I left.
A lift? Okay. Okay. Well, you know, what was your name? Samantha? Samantha, look, I'm not trying to be a hard ass. All right. I don't like being lied to. It's one of my pet peeves, so I'm sorry if I came off a little hot. Okay. But you understand, we have to take this at face value if you don't want to talk to us. You know what I'm saying? Have you ever been arrested before? Well, what are you doing, girl? Is there anything illegal in your purse?
I don't think so. No.
Okay. If there was, what would it be? No needles or anything, right?
No, I'm prescribed Xanax, but I didn't
Okay.
bring my bottle, so I'm not sure.
I don't care about pills. I just don't want to get stuck with a needle when I go digging through it.
I think it's
Okay. All right.
like I said, I'm prescribed Xanax, and I don't always bring my bottle with me, so there might be Xanax there, and I'm not sure. I don't know if it was or not.
Okay. All right. Well, it's your last chance. You don't want to say anything. You don't want to talk. You don't want to have a conversation about what happened.
So we tried to take money out and didn't do anything.
Okay. Well, listen. I don't want to have the conversation unless you want to. I don't want you to make any spontaneous statements or do anything. I just want to have a conversation about it. All right. If you don't want to, that's fine. If you do want to, that's fine. I'm just saying it could potentially help you. Okay, it's not going to change the fact you lied about your name, right? You already dug the hole,
Yeah, so I did give the wrong name.
right? Well, if you think that's all you did, it would behoove you to have a conversation about it, right? You can have a lawyer, you can, but I'm not going to sit here and badger you into it, you know.
I'm sorry, I gave you the wrong name.
It's okay. You didn't hurt my feelings. I just want to know, do you want to talk or not?
About what?
About the things that happened at the banks today. Ma'am?
I just gave you the wrong name. I'm sorry.
This moment right here highlights a major contradiction. She claims she just gave the wrong name and didn't write any checks. But by this point, investigators already have physical evidence, witness statements, and documentation from two separate banks. In legal terms, this is where credibility takes a serious hit. When your statement doesn't match verified evidence, prosecutors don't just see doubt, they see intent. And intent is everything in fraud cases. So the real question is, was this denial strategy ever going to work? Or did it just make things worse?
Okay.
I didn't write any checks or anything.
Okay. Like I said, you're starting to talk about it, but I need you to answer if you want to talk or not.
I don't know.
Miss Samantha.
I did. I just spoke to you.
Miss Samantha. Do you want me to read you your rights again?
No.
Do you understand your rights?
Yeah.
Having your rights in mind, do you wish to speak to me now? Ma'am? No? Okay.
Either way, I'm arrested, right?
So, just to verify, we've got an attempted withdrawal of $7,000 at this Panama City Bank.
Yes.
Right? Do you have any information on the Lynn Haven Bank? Because I've called Lynn Haven to see if we have a charge that can be made, because I'm assuming that they're going to want to prosecute charges as well, you know.
Yes. I have the police officer here with me. What were we asking him?
Did she try to withdraw a check in Lynn Haven?
She tried to cash a business check over there.
Okay, so like one of the ones she had here?
No, it was that other business I gave you.
Right, but it was the same format, right? She came in with a check pre-filled and tried to catch it.
Did she come in with a pre-filled check over there, Allie, or did she ask for a counter check? So that check was drawn off of Bank of America, made to the business that I gave you that, on George Street. So it was already a check off of Bank of America she presented to them.
What amount? What amount?
What amount was it, Allie? $7,000 even.
Okay.
Ours, we presented her with those counter checks to fill out.
Okay, and in Lynn Haven, she brought a check in?
She brought in one from Bank of America.
Do they still have the check over there?
She left with it, right? She left with
She
it.
left with the check.
She never signed it, Allie said.
But she did provide a false ID over there.
Yes, that was that Stockwell, right?
The Shannon
Or Cockrell. Yeah.
Shannon Cockrell.
She couldn't verify the phone number on the account, and then when they told her that they could only deposit the check, she refused and said she'd go to another bank. And that's when she came here and just tried a whole other account.
Did you write all the... You wrote the statutes down?
Yeah, I have them in my car. Yeah, we'll take care of it. This is what I'm saying, though. The teller in here said that she was looking at this while she was filling out the check, so I know it's got information, like her identity theft stuff. So this is evidence. I wouldn't let her touch it again. I wouldn't get a number out of it or anything like that. I mean, she tried to steal $7,000. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that, the pills, and those checks are evidence. What was that?
I was talking to my daughter the whole time.
Not anymore. Sorry. I'm sorry. You tried to steal $7,000 from an innocent person, so I don't care.
And just like that, the case wraps with multiple serious charges. Fraudulent use of personal identification and uttering a forged instrument. This wasn't just about one bad decision. It was a sequence of actions that painted a clear picture of intent, planning, and execution, even if it wasn't perfect. From switching identities to targeting multiple banks, the evidence stacked up quickly, and the legal consequences followed just as fast. Cases like this highlight how financial crimes aren't just about money. They're about trust, identity, and the systems designed to protect both. Now we want to hear from you. Do you think she ever had a chance to talk her way out of this? Or was the evidence too strong from the start? If you found this case as shocking as we did, make sure to hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more jaw-dropping courtroom breakdowns.